person who presents the Trial Lawyer of the Year. Justin?
So I'm here to present the Trial Lawyer of the Year award to Mark Kovacich and Ben Snipes. It's an honor to honor them over their fine work in a case O'Donnell versus St. Peter's Hospital in Helena. Just a little bit of background about the case. Am I too quiet? Thanks, Jim. A little bit of background about the case. Randy Knopf, he was admitted to St. Peter's Hospital, and upon admission, he expressed his wishes not to be resuscitated. He asked that DNR and do not intubate, do not resuscitate and do not intubate orders be placed into his chart. And imagine that. I mean, the most personal, sacrificial, honorable, and difficult decision that a human being could make, Randy made that day along with his wife. And his wishes were not respected by the hospital, and he was resuscitated not once but twice, leading to, as you can all imagine, tremendous heartache, tremendous expense, and tremendously a lot of more difficult decisions for Randy and his family. Now, what I think, and Jim mentioned that this was a difficult year to select the Trial Lawyers of the Year because of the great results that were achieved this year, and that's great for all of us. But I think what set this case apart was, as Tom mentioned earlier, operating at the edge of the law. And this is truly that kind of case. Recovering for damages for saving someone's life, for continuing life, is a difficult prospect, both legally and factually. It's the minority position in the nation, Montana being in the minority now, thanks to the good work in this case. It's also codified in Montana in the wrongful birth statute that granting life is not a compensable damage in Montana. But they did a tremendous job in not only convincing the district court, but then the tougher burden, in my view, convincing the jury that this is a problem that was worth fixing and a family that was deserving of a significant award. And they deserve recognition for that. And it's also a recognition that trying a case isn't just about what happens starting in voir dire and ending at closing. It starts early on. And Mike McEwen also worked on this case and worked it up and did a tremendous job in framing the issues, and also withdrew his own name from consideration here for this award, which is really something. So in convincing the jury, they focused on the sanctity of this decision to end one's life. They focused on dignity, and they ended up with an award for this family of $409,000, over $409,000, including all of the expenses incurred even long after the decision had been, or after a decision had been made to have a pacemaker. And that truly, to me, is the most remarkable aspect of your verdict, is that you got the jury into the head of your client and you explained what on a cold factual record was a difficult set of facts to explain. That Randy decided to have a pacemaker put in and decided at that point to continue his life. On the cold factual record, that's difficult. But what you did in this case, and why I think it deserved recognition and why the organization thought it deserved recognition, is that you got that jury into the head of your clients and you explained what otherwise would have been a very, very difficult set of facts to explain. And it's a remarkable thing that you did. And that's why you're absolutely deserving of the Trial Lawyers of the Year. So, Mark and Ben.
Thank you, Justin, and thank you, MTLA, for recognizing us with this award. I have been very surprised and a little bit troubled over the last couple of years that I've represented Rodney Knaufel and his family when I would talk to people about what happened to him and tell people his story. And what I would frequently hear, even talking to fellow plaintiffs' lawyers who are usually a pretty friendly audience, is, what are you telling me, that you're claiming damages because they saved his life? And of course I said, no, we're not claiming damages because they saved his life. We're claiming damages because they disregarded his wishes and changed the course of his life. And then I would hear, but he got 2 extra years with his family. And no matter what I would say, more often than not, whoever it was that I was talking to would remain skeptical. But when Rodney called our friend and co-counsel Mike McEwen and told him what happened, Mike wasn't skeptical. He was outraged and offended that the hospital didn't follow Rodney's wishes and that they changed the course of his life. And when Mike asked Ben and I to help on the case, we had the same feelings. And when we got to know Rodney, we felt even stronger about it. He had suffered all of his life from orthopedic problems. By the time we met him, he'd had 3 hip surgeries. He was disabled from physical injuries as a young man. In his late 50s and early 60s, he had 3 heart surgeries, including open heart surgery. And in his, I think, early 60s, he suffered a stroke. He was blind in one eye, even further limited physically as a result of that. He was in and out of the hospital several times every year, and he had decided that if his time should come, he didn't want to be resuscitated. He didn't want to be a burden on his wife, Cheryl, and he didn't want to suffer an undignified end to his life. So he was admitted to St. Peter's Hospital in 2016, and the doctor who admitted him entered a do not resuscitate order. They put a wristband on, a blue wristband on his wrist, indicating that he was a do not resuscitate patient. And then when he died 2 days later in his bathroom, they revived him by performing CPR for 15 minutes. He did become a burden on his wife in those final 2 years. She was happy to have the time with her husband, but she bathed him, she prepared every meal for him, she was working full time, she took care of everything in the house, she made sure that he took the right pile of pills several times every day. And then he finally did pass away about 2 years later. At the end, he got confused and combative. Cheryl was now changing his diapers. And so he got extra time with his family, but he also got exactly what he intended to avoid when he chose to be a do not resuscitate patient. And so the other question that I would hear from people after Rodney died was, why is Cheryl claiming damages? Why is his wife claiming damages? She got that extra time with her husband. She appreciated the extra time with her husband, and she testified to that. And we did not claim damages for her for what she went through during that time, which was a lot. She continued the case because it was important to Rodney, and she did it because it was important to hold the hospital accountable for the mistake. They don't get fined for not following someone's do not resuscitate order. There's no penalty for that. But she understood how important it was to do what I think is one of the most important parts of our jobs and hold wrongdoers accountable. When lawyers like Jim and Ross hold religious organizations accountable for creating an environment that allows for abuse, they're not only recovering for their clients and vindicating their clients, they are sending a message and hopefully, and I believe, requiring change that will prevent those kinds of things from happening again. And in our case, in the Knaufel case, one of the most satisfying things that happened is when we interviewed the jurors after the verdict, we heard over and over again that they didn't want this to happen to anybody else. And so that's what the case was about. I think all of us lawyers, or most of us lawyers, certainly myself, have cringed at times when we hear clients say that they're filing a case or they don't want to settle a case because of the principle, but we shouldn't cringe at that because the principle is important. All of our cases are bigger than our individual clients, and the things that we do, like this case, can actually change things for the better. I want to thank Tom and Dave, who you heard from tonight, who didn't follow the 5-minute rule that I told them about earlier, for giving me, Dave, who didn't, for giving me great direction the last 20 years and for creating the foundation of our firm that allows us to do the kind of work that we're doing that we're very proud to do. I want to thank my wife, Melissa, who's here tonight, for always taking care of every aspect of my life other than the law practice, which allows me to give my clients' cases the attention that they deserve. Thank you, Mike, for bringing us in on this case and for helping from start to finish. Mike's work was instrumental in achieving the recovery that we did here. And finally, I need to recognize the young man next to me here. Nobody worked harder on this case than Ben Snipes. And I'm fortunate to have a partner where I can pretty much say that on every case that he works on. I can honestly say I don't know anybody who works as hard as Ben. He's very tenacious, he's very effective, and I'm happy for you that you're getting this award tonight. Appreciate it.
I won't retread what Mark has talked about the importance of this case. This case's importance comes in part because of its novelty, and I think that's part of the reason why Mike thought of us, and I appreciate him for doing so. This isn't a pedestrian run-of-the-mill tort case, and I didn't really come to realize that until we were all the way in. So to begin, I'm deeply honored to be accepting this award. I hold the MTLA in the highest regard. It's truly an honor to be looked upon by your peers, and particularly this board, which is such an impressive collection of attorneys. The fact that they are willing to provide recognition to Mark and myself is supremely gratifying, so thank you. So much to be thankful for as far as the opportunities I've been given, but the catalyst for what I do and what Mark does is our wives, and my wife in particular deserves very much of the credit. She is a mother to 3 kids, 6 and under. She gets it, as Dave said. She understands that our jobs are demanding. They require a lot of time and energy that takes a lot out of you, and when you get home and you're hoping to be a great father and husband, it's tough to draw an appropriate line in where your energy needs to go. And my wife's never once given me any guff about pushing to make sure my clients are well represented. So for her unrelenting support, she deserves the utmost credit, and I thank her so much. Today's her birthday. Unfortunately for her, it always falls on MTLA convention week, so I missed about 5. So I appreciate the board again allowing us to celebrate this. This is her first one attending with me, so thank you. Been lucky to have great attorneys to work with. Tom Lewis, Dave Slovak, Mark Kovacich, Keith Marr, excellent mentors. And when I think about how lucky I was to arrive at that firm, I got introduced to Tom through Cliff Edwards, one of my law school classmates. It's John, and Cliff got me in the door, and once my foot was in, I was not going to let it be removed so easily. So when I think about the valuable experience I've had with this firm, I can't say enough. These guys, in my opinion, if there's a Mount Rushmore of trial lawyers in Montana, as Dave likes to say, or these guys have got to be on the short list. So where I landed was just so fortuitous. Proud of this case. Proud of Mike for all the work he did. He's a great friend. And in closing, just we appreciate everybody's thoughts and kind support. And like I said, it was a case where we didn't realize perhaps how up against the wall we were until we were in it. After the verdict, I got a call from a gentleman named Professor Thaddeus Pope. He runs the Health Institute out at the School of Law in Minnesota, and he said, you guys realize that this was the first verdict for a wrongful resuscitation case in the country, and I hadn't realized that. JC did a lot of research to try to find out what these types of cases were going for, the damages and the worth, and we couldn't find any. There was one reported settlement, but that was it. So again, the novelty is what makes this special, and the fact that we could finish what Rod started. Last but not least, I've got a fiercely loyal, brilliant beyond compare, and just a tenacious law partner, and he's truly one of my best friends and a great person to practice law with. I appreciate him every day, and we look forward to doing this a lot more. Thank you.
So no more on this award.